It's been quite some time
It's been
since
a
you've
few
been to
years.
KUHS. It's been a few years. You were on the Love Doctor show, the Heartbeat show, and of course you knew he passed away.
Oh, I did not know
Yeah,
that.
you
I'm
did
so
not.
sorry.
Yeah, he passed away of a major heart attack.
Oh,
and so
wow.
you probably didn't know that, which is now you do know. So it's like, okay, so
Wow.
yeah, I know. You're stunned, right?
I am.
So today we're going to have some really good stuff going on. I'm going to switch up and go back to your divine rapture back here. So we're going to put this up there on the entire setup, and we're actually going to not let it play, so we can talk.
Sound.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's okay with you,
Of course.
and I'll keep looping it because you didn't set it for loop, and you know I'm loopy already.
I do know that.
So we're going to be talking about a lot of the things that you do, your purpose on this planet, and the equilibriums between men and women and all the variations that go along with just being a man, being a woman, and why we can connect our spirits and how it's done, the variables of how your internal works, all of just like what I read about what you do, and I've already known what you do, so it's really cool. So that's why you asked, if we can come on and do another show and kind of go over this. It's such an exciting topic to talk about with Jenny Adams because she knows so much about it. And Jenny, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and tell our audiences what you're all about.
Awesome. I am Jenny Adams. In 2017, I had a very profound spiritual awakening. Prior to that, I was a plant manager at a chemical plant, $160 million chemical plant, and I have an engineering degree, and all of a sudden I had this massive full body orgasm out of nowhere. And it was so big, massive orgasm. The first one was about 10 or 15 minutes long, and as soon as it started, I felt as big as the entire universe. And I knew it was divine feminine energy flowing through me and out of me as soon as it started, and that my life was completely changed. It would never be the same.
And we've talked about this. There's a lot of men who have no clue on how to touch women, and we've always known this. And a lot of people look at me and they say, oh, blah blah blah, and other men look at women. When you get together, sometimes even a kiss, even a touch, the hands, the arms, the neck, there's all these variables that men should know. And the divine feminine energy is part of the equilibrium.
Yes, it is.
It's big time because they're the creators. They create from the man.
I love you, Henry. That is true.
And it works in such a special way, and a lot of men don't know this, how it works. And so you're going to talk to us more about your business and what you do and how you help men, because men do come to you to learn how to just be a man, and then you also work with women, how to be a woman and utilize your feminine energies. Feminine energies, and we call them queen energies, or as you get older, you just develop this, you have it, and you know how to use it. It's a gift. It's a divine gift.
It is a divine gift. Let me explain equilibrium real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. That's where we started.
A little different than...
I had to shoot. I had to put my 2 cents in.
I love it. I love it because it reminds me of how we connect every time we're here. So, we always have these conversations. Equilibrium is not the same as equality between women and men. In fact, equality is going to crash the world when it comes to women and men.
Yes.
Women are not asking for near enough. I use a candle analogy to describe it. So right now, the masculine is the wax in the wick of a candle, and the feminine is the flame.
That's right.
And we are currently upside down
Completely.
on the world.
Do you notice, and now that you said that, they are feminizing men. And I look at that, okay, some man buns, and it's not that they're gay or nothing, they're just feminizing.
We're pulling everyone to the middle.
That's right.
That's equality.
Yes,
There's
right.
everyone coming to the middle.
Right.
With equilibrium, with the candle being upside down, we're not at equilibrium, obviously, so you can't even light the flame.
That's right.
Equality is the candle on its side. And when it's on its side, because all our systems are masculine, women have to become masculine to be successful. And you can light the flame, but it burns out immediately.
Quickly, yes, and that's true because it's not in its proper setting.
Exactly. And when we're in that equality state, men can feel it. You can feel like, what's my purpose? Why am I here? How do I how do I interact with these women because they don't need me anymore? Because with equality, we don't.
That's right.
Right?
Yes. What? That's about enough of that. Shut the show down.
Well, let's move to equilibrium. So equilibrium's a candle right side up, and the masculine is fueling and sourcing and resourcing the feminine flame, which is then radiating warmth and love back to the masculine and taking everyone higher.
And that's the way it works. Now, if you ever watch the candle, like if you're in a bedroom or whatever, and you light the candles, and you see how those flames burn, and you see the candle, like it's exactly like you say. And that's the concept of burning candles in the bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
That's somewhat of the...
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I love doing that.
And that's what it actually, it's a stimulation. It lets you know where the male belongs, where the female belongs, because there is so much built into the feminine energy. I mean, it's big time.
It is huge.
And if you can tap that, it's like, my word, they'll take you into the ozone. Like
way further than you ever could imagine, right?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to mention that masculine and feminine doesn't always mean man, woman. I talk that way because it's easier to do the two together, but it's really both are a spectrum, man and woman spectrum, masculine, feminine is a spectrum. But on the planet right now, it's heavily skewed to the masculine.
And that's, why? Kind of give us your idea, Jenny, of why. And I do know why, but I don't like that per se, because I always look at the females as, without them, men are absolutely nothing, because they're the creator of the human. They can create man or woman. So it's like, tell us about that.
We can.
Yes, she looks at me, yes, we can, so don't mess up, dude.
We are where souls and human bodies intertwine, like inside of us. That's where it happens.
That's right.
We're the intersection of the divine and humanity.
And that's right. And a lot of people talk about divinity love and divinity sex and all the types that they're supposed to be there. Like you said, the divine is within, and the spiritual. And so that's where the spirits come together and recreate. And it's the feminine side. And so this is why you're talking about equilibrium and how it works.
Yes. And so I also use an analogy of like a man and a woman standing up to have sex. The man has to come from below for her to fully receive him. Mm-hmm. And when you do that, if you're in equality, you can't, you're fighting. Right?
That's right.
But if you're coming from below, you are now in embrace. And she can fully receive him.
That's
That's a physical thing, but it's also an energetic thing. So you asked how masculinity came to take over the world.
Mm-hmm. You're looking at me like, you guys don't rule nothing. We do.
Well, we don't know that we do, but we
certainly do.
We should be the inspiration for the planet.
And that's true. Mm-hmm.
I actually have memories that occurred during this trance I went into after these orgasms started. I had this full mystical spiritual awakening, and it was humongous. And during that trance, I had a memory of how the patriarchy started, and it actually had to do with the evolution of humans. Beings had already gone from water to land, and humans were going from land to air, and women and gay men were the first to evolve.
Gay men? Did you say gay men?
So it had to do with femininity. And we were evolving, and this was back when goddesses were worshipped, and it was a long time ago. And the straight men were like, wait, our goddesses are leaving us. And the women and gay men who hadn't evolved yet were scared to evolve, because evolving is kind of scary. Everyone that was left created the patriarchy together, started oppressing all the things that were tied to this evolution of humanity. And it has to do with sexuality, femininity, emotions, being your full true self. And we all have masculine and feminine in each one of us. So you have masculine and feminine in you.
That's right.
Energy. I have masculine and feminine energy in me. But during this time, feminine energy was shut down so that the evolution would stop, so women would stay on the planet. And straight men would have evolved if they would have not been impatient.
Okay. impatient.
But it was started out of love for the feminine.
And then you look at the Middle East and certain other countries and areas where they cover up their women and suppress the femininity of the actual woman. And I always say, well, why do they cover up such beauty, cover up, that every woman walks in with their aura, and they generate, and they walk in, and you can feel, like if you walk in on 6, 7 women and you're the only guy, you can just feel the energy, like, well, I'm going back outside.
I've actually had a friend tell me, he used to be in the Navy, there were all men on his ship, and they could tell when a woman set her foot on the boat.
No, sir.
The second she set her foot on the boat, they were like, wait, something just changed.
It's the butterfly effect,
But the feminine is powerful.
That's right. And I know this. And so even in the creation, when you're going to create, and how feminine, she's the one who determines, she'll look at the male, and she determines who she wants to copulate with. Isn't that true?
We do determine that, yeah.
See, I just knew it. Okay, so your divine feminine is, you want to talk about that, and I want to stress this. This is an area that is really good. And Jenny, you've always brought this to our station, and you did it with Dr. Lowell. You brought it in with him, and he was really good at it. And we all you turned everybody's heads like, wow. And we asked him, where did you find her? He goes, that's cool, huh? And then we put you on the Love Doctor show with Heartbeats, because it was a love show, and you had a lot of love music and stuff, and you discussed a lot of different things back then. You were talking about how men and women date, and how some women can. You brought a subject up that, why can't women go right up to a man and do what a man does to women? Hey, baby, just right away. What are you doing? You want to go out and have some fun?
It works when we do it. But
yeah, if you do it right. Well, just that quick.
It's just we're trained not to.
Yeah, this is what I wanted to talk about. They bring up young girls, and they always put them down as if you're not supposed to do anything like that. But women can do that, and a lot of them now do that.
Yeah, there's a
social media has changed the world.
The feminine is rising right now.
Big time.
Rising.
And so the retrograde, watch out, man. So all of a sudden they rewrote the retrograde.
We are rising, and my purpose here is to create equilibrium between the masculine and feminine on the global scale.
That's right.
And how I do that is through the reverence of the feminine. And I am the model. So I'm an icon of the goddess, here to show every person on the planet what is possible in every woman.
And that's why you're here, because we're going to talk about it. And we're going to go over, and just for grins before we get past, where they can find you on a website, where they can find you and get a hold of you for all these different things that we're going to talk about.
Okay.
And the demonstration of what you're going to do today. So, and it's all part of having Jenny here on KUHS Entertainments. And we did a special show for you here today with KUHS Entertainments, because I was looking at different people who can come in here, because we have different people, and one didn't show, and we get a very special guest that's going to come in right after your show. We're going to do a second show, and her name is Dr. Penn, and she'll be joining us after, so I want to interject that real quick too.
She's great.
Yes.
I met her.
Yeah, I met her. Isn't that neat?
Yes. So you asked where they can find more information. So we created a bit.ly for you, so it's shorter. So it's bit.ly, bit.ly /orgasmic activation.
It's too easy. Yeah, the bit.lys are easy. Sometimes if it's so long, you can get a bit.ly and reduce it down to some small quick link, and you got it. And so it's easy that way.
So bit.ly /orgasmic activation.
And we're going to talk about all that. So, the ecstatic transmission of divine feminine energy, what's it look like?
It looks like a massive full body orgasm for about an hour.
I say I've seen some of those.
For about an hour to an hour and a half. And it's just source energy flowing through me. So I'm like a channel for the divine feminine energy, and it's flowing through me in this ecstatic state. And that energy is so big and so strong that it puts me into like an altered state as well. But it's so big and vast, wide and deep, and it's so long that the people that are witnessing it are being activated in the energy
And
of the
they feel
divine
it,
feminine.
yes.
They can feel it. Some of them, they can also see it. So it's a witnessing visually, but it's also it's mostly an energetic thing. And so the people will be in an orgasmic state right there
With you.
with me. They're just watching, and they just start going into an orgasmic state. Some of them go into a full love state. It's every aspect of the feminine you can imagine.
And a lot of men and women will get together if they're in the art of making their love or whatever. Some don't know how to get there or go to that divine area.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes from the feminine, like you say, some do know that, and they'll take their man there.
Yeah.
And take him there for a long time. It's like that feeling that comes through you flows right through.
Exactly.
And what you're talking about is a big, giant size one.
It's giant size, and it's not in a sexual nature,
Yeah,
so there's
that's
no
what I'm saying,
touch
yeah.
required. I just surrender, and it comes through me.
Mhm.
I can have these orgasms 24/7 for as long as I want. I can
It's just
start
she's
'em-
always
I can
smiling.
start them and stop them whenever I want. And typically the transmission's about an hour to an hour and a half when I'm in this state.
Mhm.
And I did a sample one online last year for this group of women who help women have orgasmic birth. They're like doulas that help women do this.
And
during
see, a lot,
birth.
like this is what I was telling you, so a lot of them don't know how to enjoy the
Mhm.
femininity of this, what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be in in the embrace alone, even an embrace or just standing close
Yeah.
to the energy of it
Mm-hmm.
and the divinity, the divine.
The divine energy comes
Comes
through. So
through,
when it's
mhm.
coming through in the transmission, it's not sexual. It's sacred. It's
Yes, there you go.
It's
Erotic and sacred. There's the two words. Mhm.
But it's not sexual. So there's not any sexual touch happening. There's nothing like that. It's just this pure divine feminine energy flowing
And,
through me and
and
out of
just
me.
like what you say, sometimes in the sexual act you can push this through and
Oh,
it
yeah.
even makes it more, because if you know how to utilize the divine love, the divine spiritual feelings of the feminine,
Mhm.
your energy, like I said, alone will just just evolve into everybody else around you.
Exactly.
That's what's
I've
so cool.
activated many people.
I've activated.
I'm here to activate the whole planet in orgasmic energy. Because can you imagine a planet of women who are radiant and coming from that energy all the time?
Jesus, I can imagine.
And it would free men, right?
Yes,
And you would,
I'd be free.
you'd be free, and you would have a purpose, because the purpose of the masculine is to support and serve, be in service to the feminine. And so if you can follow that feminine flow and let her inspire you.
Well, then I would have this problem all the time, right? Follow,
Is it a problem?
Follow her. Follow her. Oh, follow her.
Just imagine.
Just imagine, I tell you. See, I blush from top to bottom. I'm going to adjust the color on the lights so you don't see all. It's fun. And, it's fun having you here, because you really bring a whole new value to this, what you're talking about. And so we're going to go on to, because you had this mechanical engineer job, you're doing all these other things, and little did you know you had a calling.
That's right.
And the calling got you, and it came to you. And we talk about this, and there's my niece does this special on Zoom, and she was talking about everybody has a calling. Everybody does. There's a purpose for everything. Some are athletes, some are become the president, some everybody does something. This is your calling.
It is.
And it's beautiful. It's
Thank
like
you.
you think to yourself, man, this is awesome. So once again, tell us about your type of service that you offer.
So I'm doing what I call an ecstatic transmission of divine feminine energy, or an orgasmic activation for groups of women. And then I also do them for groups of men. Right now they're separate. Eventually they'll be bigger, and then once people are used to them, they can be in the same room together. But right
And
now
they
it's
can't-
very different. Like in the feminine, the women's one, we're bringing them into their feminine fully. It takes them fully into their feminine. And in the men's, we're taking them fully into their masculine, and that masculine energy just takes me even higher when the men are in the room. It is wild. And
What is the feeling? What is the differences? You got to explain those, because you say it's wow with the men. The men have this other type of energies,
Totally.
and their orgasmic compositions are completely different,
Mhm.
but yet they fulfill the same thing as the feminine side because they go together.
And, yeah. Complementary.
Oh, I like that.
So, now I forgot your question. Just at the beginning. Can we remember the
Yeah,
question?
what it is.
Oh, what's the difference between the,
Yes.
the feeling of the men and the women? With the women, it's that women's work is so deep and vast and internal. Like, it's just this, women in community, especially in these sacred spaces, is so needed on this planet. Like, that sisterhood and being in that feminine energy together is so divine. It feels,
The purity of it.
it's so pure. Like, we're so safe. We have so much love to give each other, and there's motherly love and sisterly love.
And do you feel like, and I wanted to ask you this
Uh-huh.
for in case the audience was listening, do you feel like some of the men interrupt and disrupt the femininity? A lot, out in the real world. And that's
in the
why
real world, absolutely.
Absolutely. Those sons of a biscuits.
It's because the candle's upside down.
That's what I was going to tell you. Yes.
And where our light's not on, we'd have no flame. We can't light our
Right.
flame. But if men can help us turn that candle right
Or
to
if that man can just get out of his...
yeah,
Yes.
and just start fueling and sourcing. So I say that women, we need reverence, we need resources, we need relaxation, and we need restoration. That's what we need from
Those
men.
two last ones are critical, I would say.
All of them are critical.
Yeah, every one of them. What's wrong with you, men?
All of them. Like, that's the role that wax and the wick of the candle are playing. It's
To make sure that
flame is lit. That's your job, men. Light our flame.
light
Come
it.
light our flame. You have a role. That is your role.
That's right. It's a lot of men, and that's why you have this service.
Mhm.
A lot of men don't know what to do.
Right. And so during the transmission for men, they're just witnessing. And what they're seeing is what's possible in every woman.
Yes.
But also what's happening when they're witnessing is I have a man who is holding space for me in a devotional way while I'm in in this transmission, in this orgasmic state. So I can't even lift a glass of water to my lips, but I'm like running a marathon in an hour. Like, that's how much energy I'm using.
Do you feel
And
tired after you do that?
I do. With the men, I feel less tired. It's interesting because their energy adds to mine.
Do you pull a lot of energy from them?
I don't know that I'm pulling it from them, like, per se.
Do you feel the energy off of them?
I can feel there's like a penetrative energy that
Yes.
takes me higher. So the women's are deeper and vast, and men are taking me higher.
Oh, yes, okay.
Yeah. But these men are also witnessing this man like bring a glass of water to my lips because I can't, and then there's a straw because I can't even like lift the glass. And he's tending to me, so present with me in that state. He's putting my hair up when I'm hot.
Or even brushing it for you.
If needed. It probably wouldn't be needed in that moment,
No,
but,
just-
right? But he's turning on a fan if I'm hot. Like, he's paying utter attention to me in that divine feminine state in such a devotional way.
And you feel that. So that's
Oh, I couldn't do this without that type of support, and because I need a safe container to do that.
Mhm.
And so when men and the women can witness these men, or in the moment it's one man, holding that space for me and tending to me in that way, so many things are healed just by watching that interaction,
Nice.
in both the women and the men.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
Now, and you say you only do how many women at a time and how many men at a time? Like about 10 or
Right
20?
now, about 10 or 20, but it's getting bigger and bigger.
So-
Eventually, this will be in stadiums. I have that much energy.
Jesus. And that's possible, too.
Yes, and that's starting to go fast right now. So it's growing and growing right now. The other thing that happens in the transmission is because I'm like channeling this source energy, I'm getting these intuitive hits to go touch someone's knee, or then I'm like putting orgasmic energy with my hands into their knee.
Wow.
Or the last women's one, I was pulling energy like from afar, like they're way across the room, and I'm pulling the energy out of their mouth, and they erupt in this like ancient grief that they've been holding for lifetimes.
And I understand that. No, I do understand that, because some women have to live like this, and sometimes
Most women
yes,
have to live like this right now, but we're not going to do that anymore. Go ahead.
I'm in. So I always say this: a lot of men and women will get married and they live like what you're saying. They live in this.
Yeah.
What's wrong with this picture? Why can't I feel feminine? Why can't I feel like a woman? What's wrong here? I feel lonely. I feel like something's wrong. And
People are more. I found that loneliness is the most lonely when you're actually with other people.
that's right. This is and the wrong ones.
Yeah.
If you're with the wrong ones, who their energy is so, it just pulls you way down. Especially the women, the feminine side to this world is so critical. And I've known this. I mean, that's why you look at me like.
Right.
I know you, Henry. You don't have to. Just I can feel your energy, dude. But it's nice to have Jenny Adams here at KUHS Entertainment Special. This is a special that we created just for her, because we were looking for a show to put her on, but because we were going into the weekend, we decided to just fill in this spot right here. Juliet, she went on, she did this really nice pageant and stuff. She got here late, and she had a guest coming in here. Her name is Dr. Penn, chiropractor. She's going to be in here, part of the feminine energy. So she's going to be joining us after we're done with you here. But in the meantime, we're going to go over some more of your stuff.
Yeah.
And right now, we're talking about the blessings, divine glory of men.
So let me just feel into myself for a second before I say this out loud.
Before you say it out loud.
I receive the divine glory of men, and in orgasmic tsunamis of love, birth them through me.
Ooh.
And then I show other women that that's possible in them.
And it's true, exactly how you put it. And you said it slow enough. Yes, I know. It's true. It's like, it's real, because like you were talking about, and I've known this, is like a lot of men, a lot of women too, don't realize what they have inside them.
Absolutely.
And until somebody breaks it out, shows them. And this is one of the reasons you're here. Because, we brought you on, this is your fourth time? And there was a big gap in there. It had to do with the COVID and all these things. Man, it really set everybody down. We were still going strong. And it's still going strong. And we're so happy to have you back, Jenny.
I'm so glad to be back.
Yeah, it's really cool because you bring this whole new subject to the audience. And let's go over more of this divine glory of men. Tell your audience what you're talking about, because they may not understand.
Right.
And this is what we're going to kind of give them an idea.
Exactly.
Of what
So
you're talking
the divine glory of men, men need to know, you need to know that you're needed on this planet. You have a purpose, you have a role, and the feminine is here to inspire you into that role. So the feminine inspires the masculine inspired action.
That's right.
And so I'm creating equilibrium. Without men, equilibrium doesn't exist.
That's right. There's no balance.
There's no balance. And when we have a balance, if I use a scale analogy, the balancing scales, right now the male side of that scale is on the ground and it's full of a few white men standing up tall and a few other men on the tray standing like this, and then a few men off the sides. And then over here, the women's pan is just flopping around and all the women are on the ground in a pile. Right?
That's funny as hell.
And I am here to get one of those men's attention in the middle, standing up tall, like being that radiant light, and him going, ooh, what's going on over there? I need to go fix this tray and put her on here. And so I get lifted up to the tray, and part of that's me lifting myself up, right? I'm just doing the inspiration.
Yeah, gotcha.
But he's doing the work. And then it just creates this bigger, even bigger, radiant, loving wave through the whole planet, and all these other men are like,
Whoa.
what's happening over there? We got to get all those other women up there. And they start building staircases with their bodies and lifting the women and putting ladders up, and all the women are getting up on this tray. And now the scale is balanced. And if you notice, men have higher mass than women, so the scale is going to balance in that equilibrium with the women slightly higher.
Yeah.
It's not a disconnection. We're still in connection. It's not a hierarchy. It's a symbiotic relationship. But when this happens, that bar that goes across the top, it was like this.
And now it's
balanced, and everyone in between man and woman has a place to stand.
Now,
So non-binary people, trans people, they have a place to stand because the feminine
is balanced.
And now everyone can take off their white man mask that we've had to wear in this society, and everyone can be who they are.
That's right.
They can be a black woman, they can be Hispanic, gendered person. They can be whoever they are, and because the feminine's here, we have love, and we have acceptance, and we have collaboration.
And I love the way you talk about feminism. You've got this perfectly right. There's a lot of imbalances everywhere. I always say it's in marriages. There's always this marriages. I don't know what happens here. And do you think the woman is like off that tray and in marriages? Or?
We start off that tray pretty darn early. There are a handful of women on the planet that are on the tray, but not very many.
They start off
because in different societies, like even in India, where Hinduism, they worship goddesses still.
That's right.
But they still treat their women like shit.
Yes, this is what I was telling you. I don't understand this.
And it makes no sense, but it's all social conditioning. It's not actual divine feminine, divine masculine, our true nature. And that's what I'm here to show people, what our true nature is, so that we can get back to that balance. But those things that we've been conditioned with are creating that broken scale.
Wow.
And both women and men are conditioned with it. And we have to peel that onion.
And get it all.
And it's so orgasmic at the end.
I like the way you say peel the onion. I've heard that before. Peel the layers off, off that onion until you get to the core. And there's ways, like I said, sometimes there's a lot of men who know how to get to that divine femininity.
Yeah.
There's a lot out there. And if you know
there are.
You just know how to go in there. And it's not about, like you said, just sex. There's a way to touch. There's a way to hold. Even a 30-second hug can generate so much energy.
Even the way you say goodbye in the morning.
That's right.
Or greet each other when you get home.
And how you touch their fingers.
Or who does the dishes and how you do the dishes. And
well, I'm not going to do the damn dishes. Let's not go that far.
We're done.
I buy paper
That's
plates.
the resource. Okay, well, that's fine, but I don't want to eat off the paper plate. So the masculine's about...
Okay, you want to balance this now? Come on.
Yeah, the masculine is about emptiness, and the feminine's about fullness. Like, we want luxury. We want it all. We want a whole buffet.
Yeah,
and so what you want is not necessarily what I want. And
okay, Jenny, I'll give you the luxury. I'll give you all this.
Yay!
I'll make you full-fledged breakfast. I know how to cook.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm serious. Okay, so we're going to go back to how did you feel on your body in the beginning? Because we were going to talk about that. And how it shifted in your life, you and your life, and how you went through this. And I know the shift, because when you first came with Dr. Lowell, you had a different, your delivery of your services.
It was very new back then.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It was new, but now, then you came in with Danny a couple of times, and now I see you're flavored. You're fully flavored, and so.
I feel it too. So in the beginning, when this happened, like I said, that first one lasted about 10 or 15 minutes, and 10 minutes later, another one started, and it was about 25 or 30 minutes. It was so,
you say, what's going on
magical. There aren't words to describe it.
Yes.
It's really, there's no language for it.
That's
it's true experience. And so I was in the first one I was sitting on the floor, and I was grasping the carpet with my hands, holy crap, what's going on? And I was screaming in ecstasy in ways I can't
Describe
the loudness of it
and the level.
and the level and what the noises of it, they don't come through me unless I'm in that state. Like
Right.
I couldn't just, I mean I could
Yeah,
because I
describe,
can
yeah.
do this 24/7, but it's just bigger than a normal human type thing. And then I would switch to what I call cosmic laughter, which is another thing that's deeper than any laughter that I've ever felt or had. It's like from my toes or from the center of the earth laughter, and it would switch back and forth from screaming in ecstasy to
Just enjoyable laughter. And
this
stuff.
laughter, and then
And humor and laughter within
Exactly.
it's still
And
it
I
still
just-
tingles.
oh yeah, and I was so big, like my energy again, it was as big as the universe or the multiverse, and it was like I'm changing the world. The second it started, I was like,
You knew
I
that
knew.
this is your calling.
Yes.
I was going to ask you, you deal with men and stuff, and I'm sure you run into men who just have no clue. And you have to start from square one, like you said, they're on the floor. It's like, you don't know nothing. You don't even know how to touch a woman. You don't even know how to, like, bring out her feminine side. You don't even know how to give her a hug to make her just make you feel good.
Right, and when we always, there's a quote out there, and I don't know who said it first, but there's a quote about whatever you give a woman, she multiplies and gives it back.
That's right.
So like if you give her a house, she gives you a home.
Right.
If you give her sperm, she gives you a baby.
Right. She just
if
multiplies.
If you give her shit, she gives you hell. Right?
I suppose. I know better than that. I walk away and disengage.
Right.
I know how to disengage, and then you come back for more.
And that's good. That's good. You have to be able to handle that, right?
Mhm.
But when women aren't supported in being that full expression of our emotional waves, it shuts us down.
Yes, and you get cold, and your id. It's called your id with him.
Yeah, we can't be cold and hot at the
No,
same
that's
time.
what I was telling you. Is that your id shuts down. You're like, it's right. You always want to keep them warm and hot, like you said. I always equate it to women are like ovens, men are like microwaves. Yeah, yeah. You gotta warm it up, you gotta get them, and then before you know it, they're flourishing, they're giving you
Oh, yeah.
ideas, they're telling you this. Don't turn on that exit, you don't listen. You dumbass.
Exactly. But in the beginning, when this was happening, I would wake up in the morning, and my skin, I could watch it undulating
Wow.
in orgasmic
Wow.
waves. And I would just sit there for like 20 minutes watching my skin undulate.
Now,
And
can men feel this?
They can. I've was in a relationship with a man and activated him, and he would travel sometimes, and when he'd come home, we would just lay down next to each other and barely touch like the sides of our body, and all of a sudden we were both in this massive orgasmic state. Just yeah. So yes,
cool,
men
yeah.
can feel. Yes, men can be activated as well.
Don't activate me, I'm already activated.
Oh, you have no idea.
I do.
It's
I do.
but not on this level.
Okay.
It's way further than humans can get to. Like it's beyond what you can
So
think
why are you
of.
activating me now? Stop it.
Do you get the energy orgasms?
Well, we can't do that right now.
No, but I'm just asking you if
Of
you get it.
course.
Yeah. So that's a
I'm alive.
yeah, good.
Yeah. I'm this age. Boy, do I
See,
function.
so it's possible in men.
Mhm.
You already feel some of that.
Of course.
But now take it
To that
exponential growth.
Jenny, I know this.
Good, I'm so happy.
So, do we want to close out, or what we're going to do next?
Sure.
And-
Let me talk about the next transmissions that we're doing.
And that's
So-
what I want to talk about, because you have those down here,
Mhm.
and what you've got going on, and it's the transmissions for the men and transmissions for the women, right?
Yes.
It's coming up here shortly.
Mhm.
One's far away, one's here in Denver.
There's one for women, October 27th. It's purposely on a Friday because you need some time to integrate afterwards.
Yes, that's it. Integrate.
Before you
I
go
like
back
that.
to
You
work.
want to integrate? Sure, let's go integrate.
So it's on a Friday, October 27th. It's in Boulder, Colorado.
Mhm.
We're also planning one in the spring in the UK for women.
Okay.
And then for men right now, it will be in Boulder, Colorado, February 17th.
Nice. That's coming up here shortly, so if you want to just repeat that one more time,
Mhm.
Jenny. And I'm going to refresh this. It went down real quick. Yeah, it was for pins and things that nobody's attending to it. We're going to say hello to the world because you had a big audience here, and I just want to show you. This is the live traffic feed that Jenny's generating, and so we'll take a quick look at it. Lots of the United States was coming in here, and I'll generate it here for you so you can see what's up. Coming up next, Dr. Penn, chiropractor. We have her in the studio right now. What happened was she was supposed to be on Juliet's show. Juliet had got a little ill, had to stop it. I'm going to do the show with her. This is going to be fun. Talking to Dr. Penn, chiropractor. So, you know, Jenny already got me all out of whack here, so she's going to help me get back. No, just kidding. So you got 5,000 people on board, mainly United States, Ecuador, Mexico, Peru, Colombia, Greece, and Uruguay. You talked about the UK. We're big in the UK also. Now we have Peter Hatton in the Northern Quarter who broadcasts back as KUHS. So it's going to be nice that you're going to be out that way. We also broadcast Reveille. She went out to the international country. There were awards, and she broadcast back from Holland on the red carpet. It was really cool. We were carrying it live. It was really neat. Talk
fun.
about femininity, man. There was a lot there. They were just doing their thing.
If you want to hear a cool UK story, last year I did a sample transmission online for about 3 to 5 minutes, and a woman in this, we were doing this from New York, but the woman in the UK that had been watching us called the next day and said, I just had a 2-hour full body orgasm spontaneously, and then 11 days she was in a full bliss for 11 days.
Oh my gosh.
Just from that little sample.
Walking around all happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Changing her relationships with her husband and with her work and
everything.
Everything. It changes everything in your life.
Yes, and like, you know, sometimes men deny it or stay where they want to be machismo, they want to be in control, but they got to let go. Just smiling at him like, I don't know this.
It's a standing strong for the feminine. I use a lighthouse analogy. It's like the feminine is the ocean. It's slamming up against the lighthouse, and the lighthouse is just standing strong and stable and showing us that light of what's solid. And we can be just peaceful and beautiful in the sunset, or we could be in a storm, and that masculine is just standing strong.
Still there.
Still there, always there. We know where it is. It helps us stay safe and feel safe.
And that's what the masculinity is supposed to be, but a lot of men don't know what's up. And Jenny can help you. Where do we get hold of you again?
The bit.ly, so bit.ly/orgasmic activation.
And at this time, we're going to say goodbye to Jenny. Boy, this was fun. It was nice having you back.
So much fun.
It worked out just
I've missed
perfect.
You.
Yes, and I missed you too. So we want you back because these are good numbers. It's bam. Much of them.
Feels good. I love broadcasting around the world because I'm doing this globally, so it feels amazing to have you on watching everybody.
And then you can see it. I have it right here where you can see
that.
it. And so we're going to call in Dr. Penn, and we're going to say goodbye to you. But first, I'm going to zoom out and just stay on here by myself and talk about Dr. Penn coming up next. Thank you, Jenny, for such a beautiful show, and hope to have you back. That was so good. And so right now we're going to get Dr. Penn in the house, Dr. Penn, chiropractor, and she's going to be in here and talk to us about her business and her business in chiropractic and how she got started. And we're going to change the background here real quick, and so that way it doesn't show that background. We'll show this background, and we'll be up here in a second. Dr. Penn.
Hi.
Thank you for waiting so long. My God, you drove all this way. That traffic is no fun.
That traffic is no fun.
And
Thank you for having me. I really
yes,
appreciate
yeah,
it.
it's a pleasure to have you. You know, I told you about this show that we're going to have before. Isn't that interesting stuff?
No, I think she's right. I think the world is very much in an imbalance, and every person has their part to play. We are energetic beings. Part of the history of chiropractic was started by D.D. Palmer, and he was a magnetic physician.
Wow.
And so why that's really important is because we are magnet. We are energetic magnet people. You know, that's how we are able to connect with one another. A spiritual being. When people have done tracking ghosts and all those spirits, it's usually through some kind of energetic device that begins to pick up those spirits. So we are spiritual beings.
Now let's know, you're in chiropractic.
I am.
And so that's interesting because, generally chiropractic is certain variations. There's some that do, like we had some chiropractors here, but they did a different type. So can you name some of the types of chiropractic?
Methodology.
Yes, I didn't know how to say that. I'm glad you
yeah.
said that because you helped me out of this mess.
Techniques.
I was stuck.
So chiropractic has very different techniques. The whole idea is to align the body, and if you're talking about being at your best, performing at your best, no matter what your calling is, alignment becomes really important. But there are different ways to get alignment, different techniques. There's the diversified, which most people are familiar with, that cracking sound, boom, 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 clack. And then there is a Gonstead, which is more specific, but it's hands-on. You can have instrumentation that you use in order to bring alignment to a person. So there's different ways that a person can get alignment through chiropractic. There's SOT, which is moving the body in such a way that it begins to align itself with the help of the physician and gravity.
Now, you have your practice down in Colorado Springs.
Yes.
That's quite a distance, and we talked about you traveling so far, and we know that traffic is ay.
Yes.
And I seen you walk in, and I thought maybe Jenny was bringing a guest. I wasn't sure, but I was so happy that you stood back, and I asked you to, and you did. I said, let's not waste your time.
Yes.
And here at KUHS, we want you to feel a part of us because we are not only a community, local, we're national, we're international. And as you can see here, we're huge. We've been around a while. And I'm sure Juliet told you about us.
Yes.
And she's really a good individual, and she's done a lot, and she's got her health issues too. Now, about you, on how you started, there's something about you that said, I'm going to go into being a chiropractor. Something drove you there?
So many things drove me there. I wouldn't call myself a natural healer, but most people would. Many people would who talked with me. I started out actually being a soap maker. That's what I did. A soap maker.
Making soap?
I made soap.
Oh, nice.
And that was in 1998. My son, who was about 4 years old from the time that he was about eating food, to 4 years old, had really bad eczema.
Oh.
And doctors were like, oh, he needs to be on steroids. They wanted
They
to
never,
yeah.
they always just want to feed it the drugs
Yes,
or the
yes.
things.
Yes.
It's never the true value of natural
Healing. Right.
Mhm.
And the Holy Spirit said to me, I've given you everything in life and godliness in order to succeed.
Wow.
And I thought to myself, when we think of everything, it's not vast.
No, just like Jenny. Okay, so she was bringing in the spiritual, the femininity. Look
Yes.
at this is an example of what Jenny was talking about. The feminine healing, what the feminine people do, the part of
Yes.
us on this planet.
Mhm.
This is what you're going to do for your son. You won't give up.
Yeah, I didn't, and I developed a topical water-based solution that did help, but it didn't have longevity.
It was just short.
It was short.
You could go down and come back.
And then and so I tried making soap, and then I tried making salves and lotions, and then it just turned into people asking me, can you help me with my sinuses? Can you help me?
And before you
with,
know it, there you were.
Yeah, there I was, and I was like, wow. Simultaneously, I was a surgical technologist, so I worked with doctors every day, all day.
So you were hearing.
So I was hearing. Buzz, buzz, buzz,
And
buzz,
you're
buzz.
probably a sponge for all that, right?
I am a sponge for all that, yes.
Wow.
And so, but when I turned 40, I thought to myself, I still have
I thought you were only 35.
when I turned,
40.
yeah.
That's the trouble with Latinas or black women. How old are you? 106. No, really, you've heard that.
Yes,
Yes,
I
you
have.
stay
People are like,
looking
yeah. My son and I are out. We're like, is that your sister? Is that your brother?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I knew that I couldn't. I knew I didn't want to stand on my feet for the next 15 years.
Yeah.
Because surgical technologists stand
It's-
next to doctors in surgery
And by
all
the time
day.
you go home, you can barely sit
Oh,
down.
yeah.
You're hurting.
Backache, neck ache,
Mhm.
leg ache, feet ache, and chiropractic was a door that was open for me.
So you went after it.
So I went after it, and it has been quite the journey.
I like the way you said that.
It has been. It's life is bittersweet, right? We can't have rose without thorns, right? Can't have roses without thorns.
Mhm.
So it's been bittersweet, but the power of being able to connect with another person,
That's right.
because that's what healing is about.
Now, in chiropractic, okay, so you're actually touching these people.
Yeah.
So now, when you touch people,
Yes.
and we were talking about that earlier,
Yes.
touching in certain areas and to align, and alignment has a lot to do with the brain, the spine,
Yes.
the entire body has to be in complete alignment for that brain to really function properly.
Correct.
For you to talk properly, for you to feel really good inside,
Mhm.
for you to be able to go out and dance.
For you to be able to have an orgasm. Yes.
Wasn't that wild? Yeah, but
Yeah.
and I was, she's been here before, so I already know how to handle that.
Yeah. You weren't ready for me to say that.
No, it isn't. No, I'm good with
Yeah.
that, but it's true.
But it is. I mean,
It's
so
true, because if you're not comfortable, you're feeling like you
Yeah.
can't do whatever you got to do.
Yes.
It's like having an orgasm.
So I always tell people chiropractic is 3 parts. What people are more familiar with is the mechanical part. Oh, my neck hurts. Can you fix my neck? But there's a biochemical part. So when you think about, I have a headache, somebody's like, oh, I'm going to go take some Tylenol.
It's always
and
that, right?
That's going to get rid of
Yeah.
my headache. But you have to think about, have you drank water today?
That's
You know,
right.
do you have the right mineralization in your body?
Or just
So,
tell
yeah.
your wife or husband to leave.
Yeah,
Headache's gone.
Yeah, headache's gone. Stress, right? The price of stress, right? And so I'll get
I
into
didn't mean to say
that.
that.
I'll get into that in a minute.
I didn't mean to go there, but I had to.
And the third part is what you talked about, how the brain, the spinal cord, the whole central nervous system, and the peripheral nervous system send signals. So we as beings operate according to signals. Like when I touch you, you felt that.
I didn't.
You didn't feel that.
Stop touching me then.
And it sent a signal to your brain and it said, she touched me.
Yeah.
Right? So when your body is in alignment, your body, it knows, oh, I love that.
Yes, that's right.
When your body's not in alignment, it's like, don't touch me.
Yeah.
Right?
Give her some Tylenol. I don't have a headache. Good.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So I always tell people it's those 3 things. It's not just the cracking of your neck or cracking of the back. It is being able to put all of that in alignment. And that's where you get optimal health. And that's where your aura, as she was talking about, we have this aura, we have something that attracts people to us. And when it's on, people are attracted to you. They're like, oh, there's just something about
And
you.
they come close and they always
And-
they want to be. Yeah. And here's the thing about what we're talking about, which is really interesting. Even the brain, like I said, when you're not aligned, and you have a fabulous brain that can think real well, and you're not aligned, just like that brain just won't.
Yeah.
It won't click. It's like, how did I forget that?
Yeah. Exactly.
What happened? Well, it's because you had to align, and just all the 3 different things that you're talking about with your chiropractic business have to be there. Now, when you talk to some people, do you find them indifferent that they only need 2 of them, or they need all 3, or how do you determine how you're going to, service somebody that needs your services?
2 of them take care of themselves.
Oh, do they really?
Yes.
How's that?
So when we think about the spine, the spine is attached to muscles.
Right.
The bones are attached to muscles.
Right.
And when those muscles are pulling on the bones, or you have inflammation or you have muscle imbalance,
Mhm.
and you fix the muscles and you fix the spine through the adjustment and tissue work on the tissues that connect to the joints, then the neurological part or the central nervous system part aligns itself, right?
Now, you have down here, and you wrote, I says you're training people how to live life to its fullest.
Absolutely.
Now, when you say that, when you find people come in, you can
Mhm.
tell it's just even just stress is
Yes.
killing them. And
Yeah.
just walking down, their
Mhm.
heads forward, you can tell their shoulders are like grimace, their
Yeah.
face is grimacing, their shoulders are bent forward. You right away know, you just by looking at them, how they're carrying themselves.
Exactly.
And so you sit them down, you say, well, let me help you with this, you need
Mhm.
this, you need a couple of sessions, 2 or 3 sessions. Now, do you have a name of your place, or you work inside of?
Oh, no, I have my own practice. It's called Pinpoint, P-I-N, not P-E-N-N, like my last name, Pinpoint Chiropractic and Wellness.
Oh, I like that name, Pinpoint.
you.
Yeah, because it's true. Do you ever use,
I don't do acupuncture.
you,
and
I didn't even say it.
I don't do acupuncture. I don't do trigger points. I feel like, first of all, I'm not trained in that yet. And acupuncture it's so intriguing because it comes from, they talk about meridian points, but it really comes from embryology.
Oh, I see
Yeah.
what you're
And
saying.
so, when we're born, we're like the shape of a pencil, we're a tube.
Yeah.
And then everything comes from that tube.
Right.
So it doesn't stay in one line, it spreads out over the span of our body.
Now, your family watched you do this, right? Do you have brothers, sisters?
Yes, I have one brother and I
Mhm.
have 3 sisters.
Oh, Lord.
They're all older than me, yes.
And they look at little sis.
And they're like, oh, that's Nikki.
Did it?
Yeah, and so the thing about birth order is it doesn't matter what you do. There is an embeddedness about being in a family, and you are always you.
Yeah.
No matter what you do. You could be Oppenheimer.
Right.
The movie is out, and,
Yeah.
and you see how Oppenheimer relates with his brother, and his brother's like, and Oppenheimer's like, he's this genius.
Yeah.
He created like a string theory and all of those types of things,
Right.
and he created something out of nothing, right? It was an idea, it wasn't there, and then he had a following, and then
Yeah.
you have the bomb, right?
Yeah, right.
And his brother's like, that's just my brother.
Yeah.
Right? So they're not like, oh, Dr. Finn, she, blah blah blah.
They look at the little sister.
They're like, oh, that's Nikki. Which
Because
is
Nikki wanted to do these things since she was young, probably, and she was enjoying herself. Probably in school. What school did you go to?
I went to Parker University, where I graduated with my degree in Doctor of Chiropractic. But I went to Regis University for business
Right.
here in Denver.
And that's part of my alumni, because that's very.
Oh,
a lot of people look
okay.
at me and they really don't know what I've done. See,
Yeah.
you're just a nut, because
Yeah.
like you say, I am who I am,
Yeah.
and I carry myself this way. And some people look at me like,
I think my greatest passion was being what my friend used to say, a freedom fighter. And as I got into the healthcare field, I saw the transition of medicine. So 30 years ago, because that's when I started, 30 years ago, it wasn't just medicine and surgery. There was more to it.
all the variables of it.
Yeah.
The variables.
Yeah.
Now, I was going to ask you. I was going to throw this at you because we use it here,
Yeah.
and I'll show you how. Like if we're looking at this,
Yes.
this is taking all the shots.
Okay.
Now, what's taking all the shots? AI.
Yes.
So we're using AI, and here we're even using it as DJs.
Yes.
We've been using it. Now, in your practice, it's
Correct.
coming about.
They say so, but the word chiropractic means healing by hand.
See, that's what I was going to ask you.
So-
But you can utilize what it could find for you to tell you, hit this spot. do
There's
this.
different things like that.
Variables.
Yeah.
Or no?
Yes, there are. So we already have tools in chiropractic that operate by
Vibrations?
detecting heat
Oh,
and
really?
and signaling, kind of like a thermograph.
So when you say that, like if there's a hurt or something not
Mhm.
right, and you can
It'll-
detect that
yeah.
spot right there,
It'll be red.
And you'll
shine.
see the
Yeah,
red where I
you'll
got
see-
clobbered.
Yes.
she clobbered you there, and she
Yes.
clobbered you there,
Yes.
dude.
Yes, yes.
Stay out of harm's way.
Correct. Absolutely. She kicked me in my knee. My knee is really red.
She kicked me in my knee.
And I do think
That's
about
funny.
AI. It was a conversation that I had the other day, and somebody said, "Well, why does that perplex you?" And I said, when you take the human element out of something, you don't actually get exactness. You might get precision, but precision isn't being exact.
That's right.
And when you have emotions and you connect with the people, because the body works by signaling,
That's
as
right.
I had demonstrated. When I touched him, at first he didn't feel it, and then
That
he
was-
did. and so when you are putting a force in, so we know that every reaction gets a reaction.
That's right.
Right? And that's force.
Mhm.
And that's just basic science.
That's right.
The body does that.
Right.
And it's a signal. My force helps the
body
the
heal.
body heal itself. And AI, and people can say whatever they want, artificial intelligence, it's so smart. It is so smart, but it's not emotional.
That's right. And I say this, now tell me, now that you're saying that,
Yes.
people text each other all the freaking time.
Yes.
Some people say, "What were you doing? I can't believe you're talking to me like that."
Right.
I go, texts don't have emotion.
That's right. You have you read into that. And
And so this person on that side has those emotions.
yes, they do.
Mhm.
I said to my siblings, because we do a lot of texting,
Yeah.
and our parents are older, and
Yeah.
we want to take the best care of our parents as we can. And somebody sends a message, and they're like, "What did that mean?" It didn't mean anything. It meant what the word said.
That's right.
It said, "I am hungry. It meant I need food."
meant, "I'm hungry."
I'm not mad.
But the way you said it all pissed off like
Exactly.
you said it like you wanted me to make you a whole meal or something.
But I will tell you this: there is a spirit of a letter, and so
Of a letter, writing
yeah,
a letter.
yeah. In
Okay,
the
so if you write a letter,
Yes.
you're sending spirit.
there's a spirit to it. There is an emotion to it.
Because you're actually
You're-
transforming.
exactly. And so in the Bible, they talk about the spirit of the law, the letter of the law, the spirit of the letter of
That's
the
it.
law,
Mhm.
right? And you can read, soldiers used to go in World War I, World War II, and they longed to get those letters because their loved ones were like, "We miss you, we love you."
And then reading that, they can feel the spirit
and they
come
can
through.
and it translated.
Or there's Dear John letters.
Or Dear Joan letters, like,
I hate you. I don't never want you to come out. I never want to see
I
you
met
again.
someone new, right?
Yeah.
And you can
I met someone new.
it translates it, and you feel that because it's an energy,
Mhm.
right? And it's not voodoo or
No,
outside
I
of it.
hear you.
It's
real
energy,
energy.
and we know.
Of a written letter.
I have a written letter,
Mhm.
and once again, it's science, and it says in science that if you have energy, can't be created nor destroyed.
That's right.
Right.
And that's a physics.
paper
If you
can-
ever take
yes.
physics, I know all about that.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Paper can be destroyed, but
But
that
that-
energy that you
That
put
came
on
through
that
that.
paper.
That's right. And it was handwritten.
Yes. So this is what I mean. My mom used to make cards, and every holiday, you get one for Valentine's Day, Christmas,
She'd be-
and she would just say, "Love you." And then one day I got a letter, and she said, "I love you."
Now, hold on to that thought. So, those three words, Stevie Wonder does that
Yeah.
song.
These three words.
You got me?
Yeah, I got
I
it.
always say, you gotta say, "I love you."
Yes.
Because you say "love ya" is
It's just out
cutting
there.
it. Yeah, just cutting it.
Yeah.
You trimmed it up. It's like that's not the feeling of the true.
That's right.
Those three words, and you knew what I was talking
Yeah,
about.
no, yeah.
I knew right away.
I love Stevie Wonder.
Yeah, that's- yeah.
And I love that song too
Yeah,
because
those three words, "I love you."
he doesn't say these two words.
No,
And he doesn't say this one word, love.
No, love ya.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
called canned. Anybody says that? No. Don't just flavor coat that. Come back here.
Yeah.
What? Say it. Say what? Say those three words.
Say these three words.
And they look. Okay.
And the first time I read it, I looked at it and I paused because for so long, I mean, I'm talking about.
It stopped
years.
you right there.
It stopped me. I was like, my mom never writes "I love you." She always writes "love you,"
Yeah.
but she wrote "I love you," and it impacted me in a different way
That's what I was telling you.
because that energy it changed
Came-
the,
yeah.
it changed the energy of the words that she was
Coming
saying
right through that.
because words are powerful and words are energy.
And written on a piece of paper and coming in a letter. You open up a letter.
So it is written, right?
That's right.
So-
you remember that.
Yeah.
So it is written.
So it is written. And so that's why people are always talking about, and they call it New Age, but it's not. It's Habakkuk 2:3. And in that scripture, it talks about writing down your intention. You know, write your intention down. What's your intention? And the word clearly says, if you write it down on a tablet as a herald for all to see, and although it will tarry, it'll come.
That's right. See, and a lot of people don't. I say this all the time. Writing onto a letter or learning how to write properly to describe your inner feelings or how you want to write to somebody.
Very
Just
powerful.
Very powerful.
Very powerful.
Now,
Yes.
let's see if you agree with me on this one. Okay, so I always say 1 or 2 or 3 words that somebody says carries 1,000 words.
Yes.
And you know that as well as I do.
Yes.
So they'll say something to you, and like before you know, you're at home thinking all this stuff and all these 10,000 words are coming through your mind.
Sickness is the same way.
Yes, there we go.
Sickness is the same
And
way.
it fits into chiropractic
Yeah.
too. Mhm.
And so people say, oh, I'm a mess. I have all of these things wrong with me. And I'll give you an example. I had a young lady come in and she said, when I was 10 years old, she was either 8 or 10 years old, my grandmother told me I had arthritis.
Mm.
So just imagine you're a 10-year-old. When you're 10, you're outside, you're jumping, you're playing, you're swinging, you're sliding, you're crawling, you are optimally
You break your
active.
leg and you still get up and run.
You break your leg, you still get up and run, and then you're like, oh, it hurts, Mom. And so I said to her, I said, well, did you have juvenile rheumatoid arthritis? And she was like, no.
What?
I said, well, what about brittle bone disease? And she was like,
Brittle
no.
bone disease.
And I said, I think I know what's wrong with you. To her and many of the doctors that she had been to, she was a mess because she seemed to always have this hurting joint. And I said to her, I said, and she said, my hip hurts really bad, Dr. Penn. And I said, okay. I said, is it just your hip? And she looked at me, almost like she didn't want to tell me the rest.
Yeah, see, that's
Yeah,
the thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I said, listen, this is a free space.
That's right.
I want to hear everything you have to
That's
say to me.
right.
I want, And
How are you going to help her?
Exactly, and doctors don't do that. They're like, your pain is here?
Yeah,
Okay,
but
let me
you
give you
just-
some.
yeah.
Okay, it still hurts. Okay, go to PT.
Yeah.
It still hurts? You need surgery, right? And there's no real investigation.
That's right.
And
I've seen that
that's the-
so much now.
yeah.
10 minutes, 5 minutes with you and just, yeah. yes.
And if you think the power of healing by touch isn't powerful, then you don't understand how energy transfers. It doesn't transfer through a pill.
That's right.
And if you understand what the word pharmaceutica means, it means of witchcraft.
That's right.
And so
You're bringing out some great stuff here. I'm glad I kept you back. You ain't going out that door.
And so even when you see people on,
See, you were meant to stay here.
I was.
Yes, you
I'm
were.
so happy.
Mhm.
And even when you see people on medicine, you're like, he's glassy-eyed. Oh, he took his medicine, right? It takes the spirit of you out of you.
That's right. I have to take meds too.
And I'm not against medicine.
Mine are only, they're critical.
Right.
It's just for my heart.
I'm not against medicine.
This girl broke my heart.
Oh, lo siento.
Doctors, are any help for me? No.
And so I'm not against it because it can do a lot of good. However, getting back to the basics of what it feels like to move it, what the muscles are doing to really get your body in alignment. And then after we get down to the basics, so back with this young lady, and I said to her, I said, I think I know what's wrong with you. And she said, really? I have been so many places. I've tried so many doctors.
And they're just trying to give her the drugs,
and
get her out.
and they basically told her, you have Munchausen's. Like, you're just a complainer. Like,
What?
you're a drug seeker. And the funny thing is, she wasn't on any drugs. She was like, I hurt.
That's right.
And I was like, let's do
And you
this.
found the problem.
And I found the problem. I said, so here's this little packet. Now you take that to your traditional doctor and you make them diagnose you.
Wow.
And she said, so many things happened, right? She figured out what was wrong with her, but her mental headspace, now she wasn't crazy.
That's right.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, when you have chronic things and people aren't addressing your chronic
They think that
issues,
you
they
got
think, oh, here she goes again, or here
Yeah.
he goes again with
Yeah.
this story, and nobody's touching you.
That's right.
If they don't
Seriously touching you, feeling.
they're not touching to see what you feel like.
And the new type of doctoring, the new type of medical setup they have now is just like this.
Yeah.
And everybody's starting to see it.
Yeah.
And the pharmaceuticals, exactly like you said, they're just slinging the drugs.
Right, they are. My son, when he came to live with us in Colorado Springs, we had lived in Dallas, and before COVID, I was like, I need to go get that guy. He had a cat.
Oh.
He had a cat, and his friend had a cat, And my son was so skinny. I mean, my son is 6 feet, and
skinny.
And skinny. He looked like he was on some drugs. I was like, "What's going on here, bro?" And it took me a little while to observe him, right? And when I'm saying that, I'm saying it wasn't 5 minutes. It took me weeks to figure out what is wrong with this guy. And and I got to, because he is my son, I got to see what he was eating, how he was eating. He kept saying my stomach hurts. He kept saying, no, my poo's not regular. And I just kept looking at him, and he was saying some crazy things, and he was performing really crazy, not like the person that I left. And I said, I know what's wrong with you. And he had a parasite.
From the cat.
From the cat.
Yeah,
From the cat. And I was just like, makes sense. And he had this cat for a while. And so I said,
did it get inside him, the parasite?
It got inside him. I think it went to his brain, but it certainly got into his intestinal tract.
Yeah.
And this is what I mean by chiropractic's 3 parts,
Mm-hmm.
right? I said, I need to put you on some herbs
Good herbs that will
clear that out. And it took about 4 to 6 months, but then you have to restore your body, right? And after we began restoring his body, it took about a whole year for him to get back to eating well, strong, right?
Nice.
And gaining weight, and his stomach really transitioning from being bubbly gut for almost every day to now I could eat food and it not affect me.
If you just joined us, you're listening to me, myself, and Dr. Penn, chiropractor all the way from Colorado Springs. She came in real late, but because of that factor, we will not let her leave as soon as we see what she's got to offer and listen to her just a little bit. We offer to bring her in here after Jenny Adams, which had an outstanding show. And now we get to hear from you, which you're really putting on a show for us here with all this good stuff that you're talking. And I understand, because we understand each other. We kind of know the same kind of things here. It's really nice to have you here and then talk about your business, and give us the address and how to get a hold of you and everything.
I'm located in Colorado Springs. My address there is 2130 Academy Circle, suite number D, or suite letter D. And my phone number is 214-799-0374. You can text me with your questions. We do telemedicine, so if you wanted to get an appointment, just let us know, text us, and we will send you a link to schedule an appointment. And you can catch us on Facebook. We're going to be doing some training about health and wellness, and we want you to join us. And our Facebook is Pinpoint Chiropractic and Wellness, or you can get us on Instagram at Pinpoint Chiro. And I'm Dr. Penn.
Nice. And so with that being said, and we're going to close out here in a little bit, but it was really nice to have you here.
Thank you.
It was really neat, and I'm glad I did that. I could just feel your energy.
My energy.
I could. You walked in with one shoe. I knew right there, girl, you're staying here.
Thank you so much.
You did. You walked in. Your shoe was off.
Yeah, my shoes were off. I had flip flops, and so I love heels. Ladies, I love heels, but heels really they can mess us up.
That's
they
right.
make us look nice, and they get us
I just
all
said
the
one shoe off
energetic.
because I just
yeah,
have to make it sound good. You know?
They give us the energy that we need to get our guys.
Yeah,
But at the end of
nice.
it, we got to get out of pain.
This has been so much fun. I can't believe how much fun this has been. To have you here, it was meant for you and I to cross paths. And Juliet, if you're listening, ha. Go figure. Because she wants to do a show with me and about her pageant and everything she did. And so we're going to probably knock that out too. I've been doing lots of shows. I always like to sit and do. I produce the shows, but I like to sit in, especially with people like yourself. It's
That's how I met her. I met her because I'm a pageant queen.
Oh, really?
I am. I wanted to spread my message of aging with wellness.
Nice.
Because
you're going to brag about, like I was telling you earlier. How old are you? 118.
I'm actually 51.
See, look how good you look for 51. I was thinking you're in your 30s.
And I did enter pageantry when I was 50.
Wow.
I wanted to show women, I wanted to empower women to live a full life.
Did you get to see Sylvia? The other?
I did see, I saw Sylvia when she was crowned.
Yes, and
Mhm.
I brought her in.
Oh,
I don't know
did
if
you?
Yeah,
Yes,
I
yes.
interviewed Sylvia
It's
twice.
it's a small world, but it's so
really,
powerful.
It's really big.
Yeah.
You ever try to travel to the other side of the world? It'll take forever. It's a big world.
I mean.
But then I went to the other side of the world. There was somebody saying, "Hey, I know you. You're Henry."
Exactly. That's what I mean.
I just-
and pageantry is so powerful. It goes beyond being beautiful.
That's right.
It's having a message, and you're sharing a message on a bigger platform. And so, currently, I am Mrs. Rocky Mountain
Colorado Springs.
All-World Beauty Queen.
Oh, nice.
Mhm.
See,
And-
so I did make a good
Yeah.
choice here. I think.
And it's like I said, it's powerful. You get to talk about your platform to people. And so at 50 years old, when you're a woman, you're like, oh, I'm going through menopause and the change and all that. But at 50 years old, you're solid in your relationship, probably your jobs, your kids are grown, and
It's all good, yeah.
you get to be like the eagle. The eagle begins to beat his beak and pluck his old feathers, only to find himself that when he does that, or when she does that, they live another 10 to 15 years.
That's right. And here's another thing I always say: the butterfly can't see her own beautiful wings.
Right.
So I always say that. Says a lot of women don't understand that.
Yes.
They'll think, oh, it's just me. It's what you see, but what I see
Right.
is two different things. My
And-
perception
yes.
of you is not what you're thinking about yourself.
And women at this age, I mean, we're sexier because we're more confident in who we are.
And that's what I like.
And
Yeah, there we go.
confidence is sexy.
Big
It's
time.
more sexier than makeup.
That's right.
And a small figure. When you walk into a room and you're a confident woman and
It's
you
like,
have
you
that,
know those men's heads are turning.
Yeah, that feminine energy. you know, you got that perfect dress on, and
That's right.
you are owning yourself.
That's right.
That is what the world needs to see. That is the feminine.
And you get asked to dance every little while.
You get to ask the salsa,
Yeah.
merengue.
Yes.
Yes, dance, dance, dance.
So I think I covered everything. So you've been in the medical field 25 years.
I have
Just to make that mention, 25 years.
25 years.
And she's been around all the doctors, and I love that you do that, because you know I've been around a lot of engineers, a lot of aerospace people, all these other things because of what I've been behind.
Mhm.
But you hear what they have to
Oh,
say, and you pick up so much. And we were talking about absorbing everything.
Yes.
They have no clue you're absorbing all their,
Correct.
not only their energy but their knowledge,
Mhm.
their thoughts, everything. And if you're smart, you pick it all up.
Yep.
Now you own it.
Yes.
And they can't turn you down on anything because you've made yourself
Yep.
in a position now to where you're in demand.
Yes. So people always say, what makes you different? That's what makes me different.
That's right.
And the brain is so smart that even if you don't know what it's talking about, when it gets the signal,
That's right. There you go.
when it gets the signal, it goes back to that file and it's like, I remember
That's
that.
right. Mhm.
This is where that applies, because when you have more information, it's whatever's already stored in your brain. When it gets the signal to connect with new information, it will make that, and it makes you a wiser person.
And plus, I know you probably do this, and sometimes your brain will get going. It's called busy brain.
Mhm.
You get going, whoo! Wow! You think of all these cool things and stuff to do, the person you dealt with, who you worked with, other doctors. You get all these good things rolling in that brain, just like what you said.
I've
Once-
worked with some pretty amazing doctors,
That's outstanding.
and they taught me so much. They taught me so much.
And you
so
left with all that.
I left with all that, and then I went to chiropractic school, and I was like, oh,
Okay.
hey, busy brain. Yeah.
That's what I was telling you.
Yeah.
It just clicks, and a lot of people exercise that.
Yeah.
They know inside you have a beautiful brain,
Mhm.
like you said, your body, your touch. You know how to keep your body aligned and fixated, and keep everything in order. You can just function in life so well.
Yes.
And with that being said, I'm going to say goodbye to Dr. Penn. And thank you for
having
joining me here on KUHS Entertainments.
Mhm.
We call it Entertainments because this is a special show. It's not Juliet's show. It's a special show. I got to have you on here, isn't that? So
Thank you.
Juliet, go home, go to bed. I shouldn't be like that. No, Juliet, congratulations on your win.
Yay.
Okay, so with that being said, I'll see y'all later. Take care now, and we'll say goodbye for now.